Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Carla Eli Show. I'm your host, Carla Eli, and I am so excited to introduce to you a special guest. And I have surprising news towards the middle end of today's conversation. So please, please, please stay tuned all the way. This conversation is really going to help those who are first time moms, or, you know, those of you who want to become a parent. This conversation is really for you. If you're a woman of color who is struggling with surpassing certain limiting beliefs and traumas and knowing how to let go and really find solutions to let go of these emotional traumas that are showing up in your body, this conversation is for you. I am so excited to introduce our guest, Priyanka. And did I say it right? Please correct
You
me.
did. You did.
So
Hi,
please,
everyone.
Priyanka, introduce yourself. Tell us, your age, occupation, all the things. We are not here to judge you. I'm just here to let these ladies know that no matter how old you are, you can be successful and be wise. So please share all things about you and a little bit of context so we can get to know you in a deeper level.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Hi, everyone. My name's Priyanka Villanaseri. I am 31 years old, but I like never feel it in my body, but I'm 31. And I am the owner of the Baby Bliss Collective. And I'm also a pediatric physical therapist. So that just means like I help babies crawl, sit, walk, all the fun things to get their physical development where it should be. And on the side, I love dancing, reading, hiking, anything musical, really. Like Wicked. Oh my God. I love it so much. Anything musical.
I know. I really enjoyed the movie Wicked. That was the only movie that was able to get me off my butt last year because I was really
Really?
looking forward to it and it did not disappoint. I am excited to watch it at home now because so good.
Oh, good.
And now, you speak a lot about feminine workouts. And I mean, that's actually what caught my attention because you do show your workouts. Is there a difference between the way that men and women should be working out, or just in general, how women should work out depending on their menstrual cycle?
Yes. So I've been a physical therapist for 6 years and I've danced all my life. I feel like I've studied movement for a really long time. And I just find it so interesting in society how like so much of life is tailored to men and how men function. So like I think about even just like think about like the workday, right? Like your 8 to 5 schedule. The way men and their hormones work, they have testosterone and it's like high in the morning and then it tapers off as the day goes on. And so think about like our work day. We have an 8 to 5. We usually get a lot of things done in the morning and then it tapers off. And so that's like just one example of like, wait, like why couldn't it be that, for example, during our periods, we get a day or two off from work? Like, why is that not a thing in society? And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but also like, why isn't it's not that crazy? Like it reminds me how just society's not tailored to women's needs. And so it's the same thing with working out. Like when you're taught to work out, you're taught go, 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 push hard, like have like a 3 month plan and focus on that, on sustaining that plan. But the way our bodies work, we have 4 phases in our cycle. And I know like all you women experience it, where like we get really tired during our periods. And then during our follicular phase, right after our periods, you have more of a surge of energy. And so it just got me thinking of like, how do I teach women, one, about their cycles, but how you can shift your workout so you're still moving throughout the whole time, but you're not like doing a hard core 30 burpees while you're on your period type of workout kind of thing.
And you know what? Would you
Mhm.
mind explaining to us the four different phases? Because I'm not a
Yeah.
pro. So I think this would serve a lot of ladies who are listening. So what are the different
Oh
types?
my gosh. Yes. So like within your whole menstrual cycle, you have, I'm just gonna go from starting from the period. So you have your period and everything shedding, all that. Right after that is your follicular phase where you get more energy and like you can do more harder workouts, like your HIIT workouts, or strength training kind of things. And then after that is your ovulation phase. So that's when you can get pregnant kind of thing. That too, you're still able to do the high energy type of workouts. And then you're moving into the luteal phase where you're getting ready for your period. You're starting to feel that lull, but you still have a little more energy than you would on your period. So you're starting to change to more like light cardio, maybe like the Stairmaster kind of thing. And so your workouts shift pretty much every week. And it's a totally different way of looking at working out. But I've been doing this for like 2, 3 years now, in addition to working out solely for my mental health. And there's really not a week that I go by without moving. Like I always move to some capacity now. Whereas before, I would try to do it for my weight and to like look a certain way. And I would like work out hard for 3, 4 days and then I'd be annoyed of it. And then I'd stop working out for a week. So this is just way more sustainable.
No, you know what? And I actually agree. I think that's why I knew at a very early age that I wasn't going to be working a typical 9 to 5. And I know that sounds so privileged, but I also didn't really want that lifestyle for me because I know myself. I'm very in tune with maybe not so much with my cycle as I should be. I will be completely honest. However, I am in tune with what my needs are. And so I'm very, right now, for example, I'm a part time nanny. Love it so much. Love it so much.
Amazing.
And I also have, my LLC. I have this passion project where I get to talk to you, I get to mentor women, but that's based off of my own schedule. And I know when I'm doing too much. Like I cannot schedule 4 one-on-one calls in one day. I know that. And that sounds like, oh, you're so spoiled. Like, what do you mean? I'm just not that person that is going to overwork myself because that leads to burnout and that leads to not
Yes.
being creative anymore. And you and I both know that if you're going to be creating content and curating specific content to help women, you need to respect and have those boundaries in place so that you don't overdo yourself because hello, we're also wives and we also have to take care, of our family. Hence why I really was like, yeah, working a 9 to 5 for me is not for me. It works for a lot of other women. It just wasn't for me. So I'm so glad that you kind of also say like we're not the same as men. Like we are not the same as
Yeah,
men.
I
And I
am not
hate it.
trying to be a man.
And and not just that, but also it's like not a bad thing. Because what I'm seeing right now is a lot of like, well, if a man could do it, then I could do it, or like very much pushing down men or undermining them. And like, that's not what I want either. It's like, no, I respect both the male and female balance of it all. But I'm just not going to
Yeah.
function. I'm not going to function like a male when I'm a woman. And I'm not going to allow society and culture pressure me into becoming the strong, independent woman when it's like, I'm independent. I'm independent. I'm emotionally independent. I don't have to depend on someone else, and I am strong, as a woman. I am wise as a woman. And so, how did we get here? Why am I talking
I
about
love
this?
it though.
You get,
'Cause
you get what I
also
mean.
I
You get,
completely get what you mean. That's kind of like why I push for a feminine workout routine. Cause like it's totally fine for men to function that way. Oh,
I hear you. I hear you. You
okay.
didn't freeze for
Okay,
me.
cool.
Mhm.
I know I think you're freezing just a little bit for me, but that's okay.
Continue
Oh,
though. You haven't frozen for me.
oh, okay. Okay, cool. So I want men to function how men function. It's just I think in society, men's needs have been put ahead of women's needs. So I think it's imperative we have these kind of conversations to allow for women's needs to be expressed and catered to in the same way men's have for so long.
Absolutely. And so, what would you recommend for ladies who are struggling to even incorporate movement in their day to day life? Like, where can someone start? Because I will be completely honest
Mhm.
with you. I gained about 20 to 30 pounds this past year in 6 months, to be very precise, in 6 months, because I was going through so much transition in my life. And I am struggling to get back to my normal weight where I'm like healthy and my average weight. And it's not so much of weight, it's just like how I feel. I'm like, I don't even feel like myself right now. But I know it's because of life circumstances that I moved so much and I moved from one city to the other, and it's experiencing all these emotions, which we will, oh no, my light, which we will talk about in a little bit, about how those stress response show up in the body, and I feel that. So how do you recommend, or where can a woman start to just move her body to make it into a feminine workout, like make it fun? Any tips on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, oh, I love that. I feel like so there's two parts of our bodies that put us into this fight or flight mode, the stress mode, and then the part that allows us to rest and digest. And I think a lot of society pushes for that stress. So if you can try to get your body into the rest and digest part of how your body works, I think that's going to serve you well. Like, so for example, I can use for me, I'm really good at strength training. I've done that like my whole life. I've done that for years, but I'm really bad at relaxing my body. So I actively went and found like a sauna to do every day. And I just work on diaphragmatic breathing and relaxing my body because like we do want to move, but like you also have to move in a way that's not overly stressing the body. So I would start off first understanding your cycles. So that way you know how to move based on your stress levels. Cause like during your follicular phase, you can handle more, you can push your body more. So you can go for the strength training, lifting weights, um, HIIT exercises, which is just high intensity interval training. So you do like 30 seconds on of a hard exercise and then take a rest for 30 seconds. Like you can do that during the follicular phase. But then during your period, you're going to try to do really easier movements like walking. So, and I even have like on my website, I have a handout of what you do during each phase. So once you get an understanding of your phases, I would use that as a resource to pick your workouts for that week.
My light just went off on me, so if I seem a little darker, I apologize. Hold on. Not even darker, just
Oh,
like the
you are
light
fine.
is not centered. Let me see. No. Okay. Anyway,
Oh my gosh, you're
no,
totally
this is
fine. Because
great.
literally, my computer is funny too.
No, no, no.
Oh,
This
there you
this is
go.
yeah, I think I figured it out, but anyway, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry for the little um chit chat in the back, but this is great because this is going to be very helpful for me. I actually prefer strength training and I'm so into indoor cycling. That helps me a lot because I
Nice.
need the cardio for me or else I get bored too. Hence why HIIT is very necessary I think for me, but sometimes I'm just like I do not have the energy to be doing burpees or to be
Yes.
running or to be doing like high intensity workouts. So I love that. Jump rope for me really helps like 45 seconds on and then taking a break.
Yep.
That really helps
Yep.
too. But walking
Yeah.
also for long periods of time can be very helpful as well. Like walking 45 to an hour, or if you want to get those 10K steps, depending on where you are in your cycle, 2 hours, I think it is. But
Mm.
that's also I think that this is great. This is great. That's what I've been kind of trying to
Yeah. And I
implement more
love
and
that.
more.
Like you're changing your workouts too. Because I do a lot of inclined walking. So you're it's like you're on a hill on the treadmill. Stairmaster is also great, but it's like all of these exercises are great. You just have to put them at the right times based on your energy, kind of thing. So, and if you want me to like explain that even more, I totally can, but it takes a second to like actually implement that into your life.
No, absolutely. And I think it's more of
Yeah.
like a mindset thing, like actually just showing up to the gym and showing up for yourself because like I'll be honest, I struggle every single morning and I hate myself for scheduling myself to go to indoor cycling. However, I show up for myself and even though you know, it's not easy to like show up, I just know the long-term goal. The long-term goal is to stay healthy, to
Yes.
stay fit. Now my next question is what if you are pregnant? How are you supposed to work out? How, or like is it healthy for you to work out? Do you have any tips on that? If you don't, no worries.
Oh, yeah. So this is somewhere I want to learn in because I work with kids after, after they're born, but there's a lot of pelvic floor therapy that I'm so interested in. And like that's another place that you naturally hold trauma as a woman. So like I'm just super interested in that. My general knowledge is yes, you should work out when you're pregnant. It just helps you have the happy hormones. It helps you keep yourself strong. And then, when you actually give birth, like your muscles aren't in a funny place when you're giving birth. And to be honest, like, so I'm getting married in June. We'll probably try to have kids after that. I'm probably, not even probably, I am going to go to a pelvic floor PT and just get my muscles ready for that process because it's going to be such a huge change on your body pretty much.
Pelvic floor personal trainer, pelvic floor personal trainer. Got it. Taking
Or
mental notes now.
pelvic floor physical therapist.
Oh,
Yeah.
physical
No, you
therapist.
should
Sorry.
consider. Yes. They literally work on the muscles down there to help relax or strengthen whatever you specifically need to prepare for birth. And I honestly feel like all women should do that. It's
Yeah,
just
and you know
never
what?
taught.
This is really when I miss San Diego and living in San Diego because currently in Napa Valley. It's a small
Mm.
town, and because this town is specifically to host weddings or retirement, things like that, there's not a lot of services where they have, like a pelvic floor, what did you say? Physical therapist.
Yeah,
They don't have
you
that.
got it. Yep.
Not a lot of that. So I think I'm probably gonna have to go to
It's a
San
new
Francisco.
field. It's totally a new field too, so that makes total sense. I know you could probably technically find something virtual and they would teach you those exercises, but it's also nice to have like someone in person too.
Absolutely. I think especially as someone who just moved from a different city, I wanna
Yeah.
be in person to, like, communicate with someone other than just my
Love
dog
it.
or my husband or me.
Yes.
So, moving on to my next question. In one of your videos, you speak on trauma and stress. We touched on it a little bit here, specifically how it shows up in the body. How can we let go of the stress or trauma? Any tips?
Yeah. I've taken quite a few clients through my program of intentional movement, and it's so interesting how so many people hold their trauma in the same spot. So it's usually your shoulders, usually people are hiked here, their chest, um, and then upper back, and then also their hips. And I feel like for women, hips are like a big thing. And I'm also learning about the pelvic floor muscles. Like we hold a lot of tension there. People will also clench their jaw and their stomachs too. And I love therapy. I love therapy so much. It's helped me. It's helped me and my partner. It's been great. But there's always been a component to therapy where I'm like, how do we connect what we're talking about to our bodies? Because a lot of it is talk therapy. And so I think a huge thing with trauma and knowing where you're storing certain emotions in your body, I feel like it's important to make sure that you're staying in your body. And sometimes that's not taught a lot. We're kind of taught to suppress our emotions sometimes. So the reason I love intentional movement is because it does identify the emotion you're feeling in your head and you're thinking about, but then we drop into your body, we figure out where are you feeling it in your body, and then we give you exercises so you're actually connecting to your body with that emotion.
What is intentional movement? Is that what you said? Intentional movement
Yeah.
or
Yeah, it's this movement program I've made because if I'm being transparent, I've suffered with anxiety and depression in like my early 20s. And I did the meds, I did therapy, and like there was just a time it wasn't really helping me fully. And then I realized it's because I was intellectualizing so many of my feelings. Like I just kept thinking about them rather than being in my body. And so that's when I made this program called Intentional Movement to help you identify the emotion, but then figure out where it's showing up in your body. So, like, if it's showing up in your traps and you meditate on it, you feel it there. Now, we're going to give you three specific physical therapy exercises to get you really aware of those parts. And then we end it with emotional freedom tapping, where you're like, I don't know if you've heard of that before, but it's a way to rewire the brain so that you're not constantly living in anxiety or overwhelm or worry.
oh my goodness, and where can we access these tools? Like, what's the name of your website? Do we have to pay a fee for
Yeah.
it? What is it? Where?
Oh my gosh, yeah. The website's called it's just the babyblisscollective.com. And you can do I wanted to make it so that people could easily access this because it's helped me and my clients so much. But there's programs where you can do one-on-one coaching with me. So like we're working on very specific emotions that you specifically are feeling. Or you can take my digital product. It's just a course. And it's more general to help with anxiety, depression, postpartum depression, and you can just kind of walk through that course and watch it and go through the exercises and help yourself. Both work. I do love going with the clients because everyone is so different in their emotions. It's been so wonderful to like help people like feel their emotion and then work through it. So either way, and it's all on the website.
That's so interesting because I agree with you, and I'm glad that we're having this conversation because that's something that I'm trying to work with my students, not so much on the movement aspect. I have recommended them to like put music on depending on their emotion and like dance to it to let it go, like allow it to process those emotions and let it go. But I feel like I need more tools and resources, so I'm definitely going to be checking that out on your website or just in like in general because I think that this is a step that I'm missing even with in my program because I'm very much on like the headspace. I understand the philosophy, the theory, the emotion. But right now we need to learn how to like let it go. And it's very challenging for me to do that online because I do work with a lot of one-on-one students. And you're right, they're all so different, but very oh so similar at the same time.
Mhm.
With the type of archetype of a woman that I work with, so I'm so excited to learn more on this. So ladies, you heard
Oh my
the Baby
gosh,
Bliss
yes.
Collective, right? Online.
Yep, you got it.
Okay.
Hmm.
I don't know if you want to
Yeah.
add
And
anything
like,
else before. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, look up the EFT tapping. That was like a game changer for me because I've always moved, but then the EFT tapping is what rewires your brain into a new emotion. So I would look up that like first and foremost. It's wonderful.
Okay, definitely we'll take that EFT tapping. Got it. Now,
Mhm.
moving on to my next question, you give a lot of parenting advice. Where did this, really inspiration come from? And are you a mom yourself? Yeah, I think you just answered that with one of the things that you just mentioned. But please share, like this parent inspiration. Is it really because of what you do that you get to interact with parents so much that you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I see what works, what doesn't work. I feel you on that one because I'm a nanny and I've worked with multiple families before, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that, or ooh,
Yes.
I like that. So please share where you got this inspiration to share more parent tips.
Yes. So yeah, I don't have any babies yet. I cannot wait till I do. You would think being a pediatric PT, I would somehow get sick of kids, and I just don't. They're so weird and so funny and curious. So that's a lot of where the inspiration comes from. And then I've done this for 6+ years. So like I've just seen so many types of moms and families at this point, and it's just like how you described. Like I literally have moms in my mind where I'm like, they just get it. Like they get it. And I'm so blessed to be working with them because I'm helping them move their baby, but I'm also learning so much from them about the kind of mom I want to be, you know? And then there's also times where I'm like, ooh, there's a lot of anxiety here. And our babies just model whoever is their caretaker above them. So like if you're showing them anxiety and like it's totally fine to have anxiety, like I've experienced it too, but like if you like let yourself be in that anxiety, your kid is going to kind of watch that too and think like, okay, like this is how we manage it. But if you're
This is
able to
normal.
have yeah, like it's normal. But if you have anxiety and you manage it and you show that to your babies, like it becomes very normalized for your babies to accept their anxiety and then work through it. And so I'm just a big proponent of like, it's totally fine to have anxiety, but like get those tools and that help to work through it so that way your babies don't have to deal with it later on.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And this is a great segue to my next question, but I want to stay here for a little bit. I think it is very irresponsible at this point for parents not to work within themselves and decide to have children. If it was 20, 30 years ago, I would say otherwise. But right now, with the amount of information, resources that we have, if you're not investing enough, not even you don't even have to spend money at this point because there's YouTube. You can look up so many different videos to help you out with how to really transform your life, even if you had a very tough upbringing, even if you have anxiety, even if you have depression and struggle with these mental health issues. They're not easy to battle. And I'm not saying that they're easy to battle, but what I am saying is that at some point, if you can't do it for you, at least do it for your future lineage, your future family. And I might be sounding very judgmental, but I think that we do a disservice to children when we give them all of our fears unintentionally, um and sometimes I think intentionally. Like I know that there are certain things that I'm probably going to be like, I think that it's okay to be fearful of walking down the street without looking left, right, and left again. Like I feel like that's very normal, to be self-aware of where you are. But things like I don't know, even the way that you upkeep your house. Okay, like if you normalize your house not being a house but like a dumpster, that's not okay because your children are going to see you and they're going to say that is normal. If you are an alcoholic and struggle with alcohol, they're going to see you and they're going to say that is normal. If your husband
Mhm.
mistreats you and disrespects you, your children are going to look at that and say that is normal. Thankfully, and thankfully there is social media, so there's people like me who we point those things out and we're like, no, actually that's not normal. You're not supposed to be seeing these behaviors. No, you're not supposed to be taking your parents' insecurities and their limiting beliefs with you and break them, right? At some point, it becomes our responsibility to let it go and no longer the parent. But it does make me and it does break my heart to see when parents really drill certain limiting beliefs that don't even belong to the child, it belongs to them. So I really encourage all the ladies, if you first of all, if you're listening to me, you're on the right path. Like if you're listening to us, you're on the right track, you're on the right path. We're not talking about you. However, like it's very, very discouraging and very sad to see how just some moms are not even I'm like, why did I even asked like, why did you have kids if you
Well,
knew that this was gonna be like a struggle for you? And like I said, I've worked with a lot of parents where I am there 8+ hours of the day. So I really get to see the family dynamics and understand it. And I've had moms tell me, I'm just so terrified of hurting them. I don't want to deal with them. So I hire you.
mm,
And so there I am
oh,
raising
my heart.
them. And it's very disheartening to see that. And more disheartening is that these are like psychiatrists, people that we go to therapy with, right? And so I really I don't want to like this profession, but I don't have any positive thing to say about psychiatrists in their personal life because I've dealt with a lot of them and it ain't what it seems. So the fact that you tried meds and then you got out of it is very inspirational because a lot of people are still stuck there. And it hits hard. And maybe what I'm saying is very like a very little perspective of the whole big picture. But I don't know. I've seen it a lot throughout my life and it's like this common pattern. So ladies, please, if you have the desire to have children, please, 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 please do the work, invest in yourself, let go of certain traumas and limiting beliefs so that you don't pass it on to your children. They deserve better, and we have to do better. Which leads me to my next question. But before I move on, do you have anything to say? I just went on a rant.
Yeah, no, I loved your rant. And because like a huge thing I want to say too is like I also believe you're never going to be fully healed. But I think if you're able to like learn to create some security within you that knows, because like we're human, we're going to make mistakes and we're going to like not trust ourselves sometimes. And like if you've never been around babies, like, dude, they're like kind of terrifying. Like, I remember when I was first working and like carrying a little like NICU baby, so in the neonatal ICU, and I was like, I'm going to like break this thing. Like, I totally understand that. But, like, at the same time, though, if you can develop the skills of like I can always learn to trust myself even in some moments where I'm not sure. Like that'll go a long, long way with your children. And I feel like I loved when you were talking about like if you come from like a broken household, because like if I'm being honest, like I've seen things in my Indian culture where just men were not kind to women. And I thank God that I have the mind that I do to have questioned that. But if you don't question that, or like if someone doesn't show you something different, I don't know why you wouldn't pick something different. Like it would only make sense for you to pick men who are disrespectful because that's all you saw if you're not trying to see something else. And so I agree with you that like it's imperative that you just attempt to work on yourself before you have kids because they may not see it. They may not see like, oh, mom and dad are fighting. Oh, okay, like this is a normal thing now. Like I'm gonna go when I'm a teenager, I'm gonna go pick a guy that hurts me, like, and I know you don't want that for your kids as parents. So, like, yeah, I just agree with that whole rant because it's just important to try to build some security in yourself so that way our kids can be secure too.
No, absolutely. And I think that you hit it on the nail there, where if you do come from a broken family, you can normalize a lot of toxic traits and toxic dynamics. And I mean, same thing in my own personal life. I saw a lot, and I feel like that's why I understand relationships and men, a specific archetype of men, very well, because I lived through it, and I'm very thankful that I didn't normalize that and that I wanted more for myself. And I think we can both relate on this subject, right? So much so, and I say this full transparency, I made the ultimate sacrifice of marrying outside of my culture. Of course, I wanted someone who understood me, who knew the language, who knew the culture, who knew the traditions of being, a Latina, a Mexican, American household, but that wasn't the case. I wasn't finding anybody that suited those needs for me. And I do think it depends on the place that you grew up in. I grew up in a very, very um like non family centered community. It was very much like go get your bag, go to work, who like let the caregivers take care of the kids, like you need to be successful, money, money, money. But it's very expensive here, very materialistic things. But fortunately, my mom, she stepped down, quote unquote, stepped down to really raise us as children, raise the next generation. I am so thankful that she made that sacrifice because I got to see the value of being in a nuclear family, a strong nuclear family, and seeing the transformation post marriage. And
Mm.
so that's part of what I do for work. And I'm sure even though you might not really be doing it for work, you're kind of doing it too. You're seeing what works and what doesn't. And what I don't know about you, but the findings for me is like we need both mom and dad. We need both parents to be active with the family. We both need them to be on the same page. Open communication is necessary for anything to work. And money just comes and goes. Like I always talk about living in faith. If you're not someone who is continuously living in faith and just follows the purpose, because I'm really big on like career choice and purpose, it has to align for me, even with the way that
Yeah.
I manage um this my passion project on the pricing on or like the investment and how many students I take on at once. It's very connected to purpose because I want to make sure that everything that I am doing is intentional. And it becomes very freeing when you're capable of doing that. And I do have to say that it comes from a place of privilege because I understand that not everybody has this opportunity. However, to a certain extent, I do believe that it's up to us and the outcomes that we want for our life because I know that you weren't handed everything. I know that you probably had certain expectations in your family. I know that you probably saw some toxic things, but it's like you have to make that choice to want more and to be the pioneer of your family and for your family to like move on. So I'm so thankful that, we're having these conversations and that you agree with me because that'd be hard if
Oh,
you didn't
yeah.
agree with me and we can have different perspectives. But I don't know if you want to add anything before we move on to the next question.
Yeah. Oh, no, that was great. I think a lot of life, people forget that a lot of life is like where you focus your attention on. And so you can choose to focus your attention on like the negative parts of life. And I'm not saying that they don't exist, that they do. They very much do. But like you have a lot more control than you think to help yourself. And so lean into that because that's what's going to change your life and transform your life.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And so I think part of focusing on the negative also, it goes perfectly with my next question. How should
Mhm.
we even process our emotions if we never really learned how to? You said it earlier. We tend to be told, or like people always tell us, to suppress our emotions. Don't cry, you're going to show weakness. Don't laugh, it's not appropriate. Don't get angry, like you're giving the other person power, right? So, how, in your opinion, and with your experiences, how can a woman really process her emotions appropriately, where it's healthy and it's freeing? Any tips on that?
Yeah, yeah. And I think it sometimes feels so hard because our society has pushed this emotional suppression. But I think the best way to do it, personally, with movement, no understanding how exercise and moving your body really helps you connect to those emotions. I'd and work on the step that you need the most. But I'd first identify the emotion that is happening to you or you feel is happening. Sometimes that can even feel so hard. Like I don't know if I'm feeling overwhelmed or anxiety or sadness or anger. So trying to identify that first and then I like meditate on that emotion short amount of time, like 30 seconds to a minute and then feel where that's showing up in your body. I get surprised. Every single client I take through, they always know where the emotion is in their body, which is just such a cool thing about like the human body and how intuitive we are with our own emotions. So every single person I've taken through, they tell me like pretty immediately, like, oh, I'm feeling it in my chest. Or someone even told me they were feeling it in their left leg. And I was like, cool, let's go. I'll give you the exercises to keep going. So figure out where it's in your body, and then I want you to move your body. If you can move that part of your body that you feel that emotion in, like even better. And then that way you're connecting to the emotion, because we don't connect to our emotions in this society. I just deeply believe that. And so it's almost like you have to push yourself a little bit to do that because it's going to feel really uncomfortable. And so I'd say just go through the process of that first and then look up the EFT tapping. I can quickly describe it. It's literally just tapping your head at different parts. So like forehead, side of the head, under the eyes, under the nose, and then your collarbone. And you say almost like affirmations to yourself. So like it's safe for me to feel this anxiety. It's also safe for me to let go of the anxiety and release this anxiety. It's safe to love myself with or without the anxiety. I love myself completely. And then the last one you do is like a funny one, so that way you're moving out of the anxiety. So I'd be like, I don't know, I see monkeys on the palm trees right now swinging around, and you make it completely imaginative because our brains are so interesting. They go down one path, and like the older you get, it just keeps that same path. So you have to like break the path a little bit, and that's where the EFT tapping part of it comes into it to break you out of your anxiety without bypassing it. And that's what I would do.
No, no, no. I love that. And
Yeah.
because I do want us to know, like, I'm also not teaching them to, or teaching the ladies who are listening to stay in that emotion, because I think that there's two spectrums: people who tell you completely avoid emotions, suppress them, emotions are dumb, right? And then people who are on the other spectrum where, like, they say, be in the emotion, feel the emotion, stay there as long as you need to. You've been traumatized and blah, blah, blah. I choose the
So
middle
funny.
because it's like, let's be practical about this. Like, yes, you're able to feel that emotion, process it, but life goes on. Move on. We have to
Yes.
move on and look forward. And that's like my joyful or like positive side coming out. It's like, yeah, we go, life is hard. Okay. Life is hard, y'all. Okay. But we get to decide how we get to experience it. We only have one to live, one to experience. And I'm here for, feeling it to its fullest, the good and the bad, but moving on. So you don't hold on to resentment, you don't hold on to like being worried about the perceptions of you. And it's healthy to acknowledge this emotion, or like be like, okay, when I'm alone, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to process this
Yeah.
emotion, let it go, because that's also good. And I think
Yeah.
also communicating with your partner, if you are married or if you have a fiance or a spouse who lives with you, and let them know, like, hey, I need you to be a little bit kinder to me when I'm doing this, because I want to let go of these emotions a lot faster so we can continue with our day. I know that for a while, my husband and I, we were struggling to like get out of arguments, right? Very normal for couples to get into arguments. But my goal was to like get over arguments as fast as possible, just because there's such a waste of time, even if it's something very delicate. And so we first started off with like not talking for 3 days, then not talking for 2, then not talking for 1, and then it became a habit where it's like, okay, after 30 minutes we're over it. Like once we say we're over it, we're over it, let's move on. But what really helped me was processing those emotions and being like, I'm not going to hold on to this. What's the point of holding on to this? I chose this person as my lifelong partner. Let's move on. And getting your partner on the same page as you so that you both can grow together and still have those hard discussions. You need to. Especially when kids are involved, you need to have a lot of hard discussions. Very normal. And you know what? I even think that it says a lot more about you if you've been married, or you're in a relationship for a while, because that means that you learned how to master effective communication and you personalize that communication to your person. And I always say this, I think that that's such a reliable and like, what's the term, like recession proof skill that we all need, learning how to communicate with our partners. So
Yeah.
if you do want to learn how to process your emotions, do so with your partner as well. Don't force him to do anything that he doesn't want to do, but do encourage it, like at the dinner table, if you will, or like whenever you guys are having intimate moments, because it's so important to move on to the next chapter of your life. I don't know if you have anything
Yeah.
to add.
Oh, yeah. And I feel like I totally agree in the sense of you don't have to stay there. Like intentional movement, the program I'm talking about, when you first learn it, it's like a 20-minute thing, but then you get really good at it. It takes like 5 minutes. And so I'm a firm believer of like you shouldn't suppress, like you should feel that emotion, but it doesn't have to take you forever to like move through it and move out of it. And like most people, they once they get the movements down, it's a 5-minute thing, which is kind of amazing. Like you can get like you can feel your anxiety, but then also let it go, truly let it go through your body and movement in 5 minutes. Are you kidding? So yeah, because I don't want people. There was a time in my life where I sat in my depression and it sucks. Like it sucks so bad. And so no, I totally agree that you don't wanna sit there, but you do wanna acknowledge it and, like, have a little bit of time to do it, but if you can learn a process that makes that faster, a system that makes that easier for you, like, yeah, I would do that.
No, and that's the goal. The goal is to be able to process them, feel them, process them, and let them go so that you can move with clarity and make decisions with wisdom. I'm about to do a group coaching experience called Thrive in Survival, and it's literally all about this, how to process
Mm,
emotions at the time, even if you are going through a lot of pressure from different parts of your life, how to thrive, truly thrive in survival. And part of it is this part, how to process emotion, how to let them go through life, because we were designed to live a peaceful, slower life, but that's just not our reality. The reality is life is hard, life is dark, there's bad things. And as a good person, as good people, we need to learn how to navigate life where life starts giving us all the good, right? And so this
mm,
is going to be like I think it's this part is going to be the first session because it's a 3-day training, but I'm going to talk about how
okay.
you can still process these emotions even when you're in survival. I think we've all, I don't know if you have, I know I have, I think we've all
Oh, yeah.
experienced seasons of survival. We're just on the go, 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 trying to either pay our bills, find ourselves, get out of a toxic situation, and or make tough decisions and tough calls for our family. Because I know that I speak to a lot of moms as well and wives who they have to make hard decisions for their families, and it is not easy when you're in survival. And so I'm going to teach them how to create systems to help them make wise decisions. How do healthy women move? So this is going to be a big part of it. So thank you so much for bringing this up because now I have more research to do. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so here is the special news for my follow-up question. As someone who's experiencing pregnancy, just said it, as someone who's experiencing pregnancy, um, I need some in-depth advice on how to identify past trauma. Like I said, I'm not one to like stay there. And I'm also not one to also be like, you have to heal your inner child all the time because I'm like, I'm not one to be in the past all the time. I just feel like that encourages depression because depression really just focuses on the past. And I don't know. I'm not someone who lives in the past. And again, this is my personal opinion. I'm no doctor, I'm no psychiatrist. So, this is my personal opinion and my own experiences. I noticed that if you spend too much time thinking about the past, you're more likely to experience episodes of depression. And
Mhm.
so, how can I move through the world um, now that I'm pregnant with like understanding my own, I guess, limiting beliefs? I don't know if you have any tips on that because I don't
Yeah.
want to pass them on to my baby.
Yes, and first of all, congratulations, you're pregnant. This is amazing.
So
We
happy, so
gotta
excited.
celebrate that. So fun. Oh my gosh. So I think of it in two realms because your baby like feels everything inside of you. And oh sorry, it's just lagging a little bit, but I think I'm okay to talk, right?
You're good.
Okay, cool. There's two parts of it because like your baby feels everything inside of you, right? So if you're stressed, that baby picks up on that and kind of holds that in their nervous system. So like I have a friend, she's so funny, Tracy, and she's a mom. And after she became a mom, she's like, anyone who brings me stress, I just go like, look, no, no, ma'am, I'm a mom. Like, I can't, this is not something I can deal with because I'm a mom, I'm a mother. Like, I can't. And I was like, that is amazing. I feel like, how do I implement this in my life, even if I'm not a mom? But like, the idea of like, you can't, you don't want to stress yourself out too much because your baby's going to feel that and it's going to process in their little bodies and their little nervous systems. At the same time, I also am a believer of, if you show your baby or if you're able to work through the hard emotions and then work through it and come out on the other side of like, I'm resilient. I have experienced anxiety. I'm a human and I will experience these hard emotions, but I also will get through them. You're showing your baby that too. So I would try to do it. Honestly, I do it with a practitioner where you're like, someone is guiding you through those hard emotions. So if they see that you're getting stressed, they can bring you out of it or like calm down the session, because we don't want you to be super stressed as a pregnant person. Um, but I do also think it's important to address it. There's a lot of cool movements too for like after your baby arrives from day zero that you can do. For example, if you keep your baby in like a side lying position and you just do like butt pats, that always calms down their nervous system. So like doing things like that to help not pass on generational trauma, anxiety, overwhelm, worry, all of that, like giving them movements even as a little baby is also going to be super helpful at that time. But I would try to find the balance, if I were you, of like working through generational trauma but not stressing yourself through too much. And I do that with a practitioner just so you don't get stressed out, because I think actually the number one thing is you shouldn't stress yourself out as a new
Yeah,
mom.
no, and it's so hard. My parents were in town, and it is
Mhm.
so hard with this transition that I'm going through. Not only am I pregnant, I also just moved to a new city, a city that is nothing like my hometown. And then the third thing is like it's a small town. I came from a big city, San Diego, to having absolutely no one. So it's like I'm processing a lot of different things, and I do
So
not
much.
want to like put that stress on my baby. So it's like,
Yes.
how can I manage this? I'm going through a lot of new firsts. So I'm excited to announce it on my actual Instagram and TikTok pages so that I can get advice from other moms, because I know I'm not the only one that has been
Yeah,
going
for
through
sure.
something like this. But seeing my parents really, really, really helped me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe at age 25, I still need mom and dad to kind of like calm me down a little bit and realize how loved and,
Yeah.
loved I am, because you can forget once you're, you move into a different city. And if you're someone who's going through this, like, you're not alone. I'm very, very happy, and I'm a very positive person, so I always see the light through everything. But that doesn't mean it's not challenging to like overlook all the things that my parents are going to miss, like the first ultrasound, the second ultrasound, all of
Mhm.
the things that I personally thought my parents were going to be here for. They're not. That's just my reality. And it's like accepting it and making the best of what I have now. And so that's why I brought up that question. So thank you for reminding me that
Yeah.
I can't stress. I shouldn't stress.
I know. And like let yourself cry and let yourself go through it. I would like, if you can extra relish in the moments of like, my parents are here and I'm so happy and I love having them here, like relish in those good things too, because you deserve it as like a mom who, you are right, you're going through all these different transitions, you know? So like let yourself just as much as you possibly can find the happiness in this new time and new place.
Yeah, it's definitely been challenging. And like
Yeah.
the other day, I grew like some gray hairs for the first time in my life, and I was like, "What? What the heck?" Okay, so not only am I pregnant, not only do I miss my parents, not only am I going through this like really hard time, but now I have gray hair. Like I felt so much like the movie Bridal Wars or Bride Wars Wars. I don't know what it is,
Mm.
but the girl's like, "My hair is blue" in the film. But I'm so thankful my parents were here, because my mom was like, "Girl, all of the women in our life have had started their, gray hair journey at like 20, 19, 21. You're 25, like very normal." And then I was like, oh, I feel connected to like
Dude,
my
I'm so
past, like
happy
with the
they
women.
validated you. I'm so happy they validated you because it's like you're doing so many cool things. You're literally growing a baby in your belly. You like moved to this whole new city. Like that's like so much new epic things. I'm so glad they validated you. And like that also goes into like how do we validate ourselves as women too? Like even if we see a gray hair, we're like, oh my God. It's such a process.
It is. No, 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 it definitely is. So, I'm so thankful my parents were here for that, and they've
Yeah.
been I cannot complain. They've been so kind. They've been, moving and accommodating their schedules to come visit me. They come at least once a month.
Aw,
So, I've
yeah.
I only have really good things to say. I think, it doesn't stop being hard, but I will
Yeah.
definitely say I am so loved, and it feels very, very nice to know that I am loved. And I don't know what I would do if not having these support systems. Like, I see the value in having a strong
Mhm.
nuclear family and just having family and community. And I'm just very, very blessed, and I'm not going to take it for granted. So, thank you so much for answering my question on that. I don't know. I went on a rant again. I apologize.
So fun.
You're the guest here, and I'm taking up all the time. Anyway, um, I would like to ask the next question, which is going to be the last question before we go on to closing. What would your advice be for aspiring moms? I know that right now the culture is so toxic. We're seeing a lot of women go from one opposite spectrum to the other, as always, because we're human. So at first it was what the popular trend was like, all men suck, all men are the same, and or they would revolve their life around men, very male centered. But now we're seeing this new trend of, you know what, my life does not depend on a man, or my value doesn't depend on if I raise a family or not. Child free women, I don't blame them. Being a mom is not for everybody, we're not talking about that, but I do
Mm,
think that is very dangerous for women who are in their early to mid 20s to instill that belief system of being like, look, recording themselves and being like, I'm in my mid 30s and I don't regret being a like child-free mom who's not married because I pursued my career and I get to travel the world and I don't have to deal with men, right? That is very, very, in my opinion, toxic, because just because you are experiencing that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not healthy to desire family. That because I think that that stems from hurt. What that means to me whenever I see a woman say, look at me, I am 37, I'm super successful, I run my two passion projects, I generate this amount of income, and now I get to travel the world, I don't have a man to give me a headache. I say, no, honey, what you're telling me is I didn't know how to choose a good partner through my 20s and through my 30s. I was so scared. So I poured my life into work. And now, because I feel like I have no um, quote unquote options, I am going to, instead of focusing on working within myself to find a partner, I'm just going to travel the world and say that this is the best life ever. I think it stems from hurt. You could have, there's different perspectives on this. However, I want to know, what is your opinion on this trend? Have you seen this trend? And I don't know if you have any advice for aspiring moms. Like, is it really that terrifying as these single child free women claim it is? What is your perspective on this? You work with babies, you work with moms. Like, is it
yeah.
really this terrifying? Please share.
I know when I hear that too, because I've seen that too. And in my head, it's like every individual is so unique and different in what they want. Because I hear what you're saying, and like there's a hurt thing, but there's genuinely some people who like function that way. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a little hard for me to understand too, because I feel like even since high school, I've always known I wanted children. Like that's just something I've always known. But I also know I'm my own unique self, right? And I feel like when it comes to that trend, I think you just have to individually look at yourself and think, okay, what do I want in life? Because also there's some people out here who are having babies and they think like, oh, this is just like they have one perception of it, and they're like, it's this magical complete time, and I'm gonna raise this baby so that they can, I don't know, be the next basketball star or something like that. And so it's having this understanding of like, why do I actually want kids? And like why essentially like is this truly something I want for myself? But I will also say, after working with so many kids, and mind you, I am a person who wants kids too, the joy, the creativity, the playfulness, the curiosity, that is something that naturally gets lost in adulthood sometimes, especially in the society we live in. And I feel like, for me personally, children bring that back. Like I always joke and tell people my job is like playing all the time. Like I'm literally just playing with these kids in a very specific way to get them to walk. And like I get so much joy and life out of that. And I feel like that is like such a beautiful thing that we take for granted. And I don't want to like say like the women who, you know, are traveling and doing all that, like if that's truly what they feel is living their best life, like that's like for you and that's what you want to do. Um, but I think if you're like like confused about if you should not or have if you should or should not have kids, I feel like there's just such a beauty in that creativity and play that we kind of forget about sometimes. And it's important. And if you can bring that back without the kids, cool. If you need a little bit of help and you want to like raise the next generation in a very like healing, safe, loving manner, like have the kids, man. Like they're so fun.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I know that sounds so judgmental, but I don't mean it in that way. Like that I understand that every woman is unique. I think right now with the trend of decentral, like I said, we've taken it to one opposite spectrum to the other.
Yes.
I think that if you are someone who truly, and because I've seen it too, that there's some women that they just thrive being alone. And you see it in Sex in
Yeah.
the City as well. Like I love Sex in the City
Yeah. I
because
do too.
Samantha is like, girl, I can't be in a relationship. Like this is way too hard for
Yeah.
me. I
And
can't
she
commit. And I think
genuinely means it. Like,
she means it. And so I think
yeah.
the problem that I have is the discernment part because a lot of young 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds are seeing this and in their heart they desire family. In their heart they want, or they don't even know what they want yet, but they see this. And like I said, I work with a lot of women who are in their mid 30s, later 30s, and they realize, Carla, I listened to the wrong voice. I actually really want a family, but I feel like I'm running out of time. I actually do want to get married, but now I'm going to have to marry an upgraded cycled husband where he's already been previously married and now he wants, marriage with me, and it also is a lot harder for me to even like work with someone else because I've lived all my life alone. And so
Yeah.
what really, because that kind of content, not that it triggers me because I'm like, I know who I am, but it triggers me for the reasons of the women that I work with. I work with women, like I could be working with someone who posts that type of content and then schedules a one-on-one session with me, pouring their heart out to me how they actually do want family. And so I guess to me, the issue that I have with women who post like, I don't want to listen to a man, and the comments get worse. I don't want to listen to a man because I am a super successful businesswoman, whatever, blah blah blah. Um, what really bugs me is the transparency because you don't even know if it's real. And I guess at
Yeah.
that point, you would say it's up to the viewer to decide if that's true or not. But again,
Right.
like I said, I think it's still very misleading. And so I agree with you on the aspect of, children, how they bring so much life. Since I work with children too, and it's the same thing. I'm like, I get hired to play with kids. I get to hire to go
Yes,
walk
you
with kids.
do.
I get to go to the zoo. I get to go to different
Yes.
libraries. I go to different national parks. Like I get to do really cool things. And they do inspire you and they bring this light and you just it's such a whole other experience. And I feel so sad for women who even like are very much, I think, are not healed enough that they prefer dogs over children. I've seen that.
Mhm.
And it's because they're very much in their masculine energy, which is another
Yeah.
topic for another day. But I wanted your perspective and your viewpoint on like what should we be looking forward to as moms? I know the reasons why I'm becoming a mom. I know the reason why I'm pregnant. I know that
Yeah.
for me, it's not like because I have a lot of experience with children at different ages. Um, and I love every single stage from like when they're born all the way until they're 5. I think it's not going to be as hard for me to just the practical things, right? Like the diaper changing, the changing the bottles and having a routine and the stroller walks and like all those things. Maybe I'll struggle with other things, but because I have this experience under my belt, I am so looking forward to being a mom. And to me, it's just very natural to want to be a mom. And but I see how it's tainted online. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna ask her like, What's like the fun
Yes.
part of being a mom?
There's so much. And even as you were explaining, because you were saying how these women are posting one thing of like, don't have the babies, don't have a husband, but then they're coming to you. That also tells me, like, in this society, women are just not allowed to just literally look into their hearts and think, what do I really, really, really want? You know, like, because that's just like, to me, that's like you're not understanding yourself as a woman if you're doing those two separate things. And in that case, I'm like, yeah, we need to like really reflect on ourselves and look on ourselves of like what is in my heart of what I want to experience in this lifetime kind of thing. Like hearing that, I was like, no, like whoever that person was, I'm like, you're allowed to just do exactly what you want. You don't have to play to society's rules of like, you know, I don't need a man. If you really want a man, like do the thing you want. Like we're
No, I
allowed to
agree.
do
I agree. It
the thing we
stems from like
want.
we're doomed if we do, we're doomed if we don't. And
Yes,
so
and
it's
why though? Why as women are we doomed? I hate that like I talk about this with Zach all the time. I'm like, men just get to like literally do and cater to whatever they want to do. And for some reason, we in our minds are like,
it it
something's not enough, you know? And I'm so over it for women. I'm like, we are more than enough. Do what you want to do. If someone's going to say something funny, it's fine. Just do what you want to do.
Yeah, and I think it's not even because of men. I hate it how they put men versus women all the time. It's mainly because of women. We, as in
Interesting.
general, we have a lot of hurt within ourselves. There's a lot of envy, there's a lot of competition, there's a lot of worthiness.
Mhm.
Some women get it, some women don't. And that's something for me, like I value my friendship so much. And that's why I'm so thankful that my mom was recently here. I'm like, Mom, I need more of you, like times three, but like maybe a little bit younger so they can be my friends because you get it, I get it. And it's just, I see a lot of women talk about the things that I talk about, but it's like, where are they in real life? Because a lot of the
Yeah.
women don't understand where I'm coming from, where it's like, no, like, I'm not here to struggle. Like, I'm here to live and enjoy my life.
Yes.
I'm here to enjoy the
Yes.
best of it. Life is already hard as it is, but I shouldn't have to struggle with the people in it. And some
Yes.
people just don't really understand that. And yeah, I agree that we're doomed if we don't, and we're doomed if we do. But again, it stems from a place of hurt. I could care less, and this is how I was raised, right? I could care less what other women really do around me. It's like, whatever, I don't judge you. You don't get to judge me, though. And even if you do, I could care less about what you think because
Right.
in my inner circle, you're not even included, like, whatever. But a lot
Right.
of women might think of that as like, you're so rude, you're so mean, or they don't understand what it even means to not care about other people's perception of them. So at the end of the
Mm.
day, I think ultimately it depends on the woman who raised you and the women that you decide to listen to on a daily basis that really sets you up for either failure or success in your friendships, in your sisterhood, in your relationships with men, the way that you view children as well. And I'm just so thankful that I get to be on the other side where I personally think it's healthy, in my opinion. It's my opinion, that little meme. Um, where, I get to enjoy being a woman to its fullest and I don't wish to be anything else. But
Yeah.
it stems from what we've been talking about this entire thing of healing and going through the stress and like the emotions and letting it go and really rewiring our minds and our story for something that we do want. Because
Mhm.
everybody has a choice. Everyone has a choice of either wanting to live a better life or staying with what is safe and what they know. And that sometimes
Yep.
isn't the healthiest thing. And so I guess I don't know if you have anything else to say before we close out.
No, that was such a beautiful end. I totally agree. I feel like you just have more choice than you think. Like sometimes things are out of your control, but for the most part, you actually do have so much more. Like you can, like I'm someone from Michigan. I lived in Michigan, lived in like the cold, and I was like, this doesn't work for me. And I like took myself, and maybe this is also very privileged too, but like I just had it in my mind. I'm not gonna be sad. I'm not gonna be unhappy. And so I took myself from Michigan to Arizona, and I had the best time doing it because I chose my happiness over everything else. And because of that, like everything kind of had to come around my own happiness. And like the better things in life started to happen because of it. And I agree with you. We do not, as women, we don't need to struggle. Like actually, I really think as a feminine woman, you're meant to have ease and play and joy and silliness, you know? And I think
Absolutely.
if we can kind of, yeah, if we can get back to that kind of thing, oh my gosh, I really don't think it'd be like we're doomed if we are like, do something we're not. If that phrase, I cannot say the phrase you just said, but like I think if we allowed ourselves that feminine play, we would never feel doomed. We just be.
Exactly, exactly. And
Yeah.
so I have multiple classes on the things that we're talking about in depth, but I
Yeah.
do agree when we heal like that feminine side, and I hate to like say feminine energy, but I mean I have to say it, like when we really heal our feminine and just really accept that we're women and it's okay to be a woman. Like you get to define your
Yeah.
own rules for your life. How you said you went from Michigan to Arizona. I went from San Diego to Napa Valley. Sometimes it takes an exodus and a pioneering for you to really see the things that you want to see to make it become your reality. And it's scary as hell. It is terrifying to
Yeah.
do that. It takes a lot of bravery and courage. But like I said, everybody has a choice. And, we took that choice. We made that
Mhm.
choice and we make that decision every day to live a better, healthier life for ourselves, but also for, at least for me, I'm thinking long term, right? For our
Yep.
future generations. Like it ends
Yep.
with me. It ends, it ends
Yeah.
with me, all of the bad toxic dynamics, not all of it, right? How you said we're not all fully healed, we're not all fully perfect, we're human. Literally, we're human, we're supposed to make mistakes. But it's like even how you view making quote unquote mistakes. Okay, this was an experience, shake it off, get back up, and
Yep.
let's
Yep.
try something else. So I
Yep.
completely agree with you on that. And I do agree in regards to when you just heal, things get so much more fun. People start to match your energy and you're attracting the things that are at the same frequency as you. So with that being said, we're going to close the conversation. Oh, before I close the conversation, in the comments, ladies, please do not congratulate me. Instead, put a yellow heart, because I don't want people to say, "Oh my gosh, congratulations, you're pregnant," and click on the video to hear me say it. So please just put a yellow heart that you're congratulating me. If you do say congratulations, you are pregnant, I am going to delete your comment, because I don't want people to click on the video just because I announce that I am pregnant. We have what are they called? Loosey goosey. No, what are they? Looky loos all the time, and I just don't want to attract the wrong
Mhm.
looky loos. So please just drop a little yellow heart. I will know that you're congratulating me, and I'm so excited to take you along the journey with me, as I post on my main accounts. And thank you so much for being a guest again. I know we're gonna have a part two, most likely.
Yes, thank you for having me. This is so just this honestly, this conversation was very healing too. So I'm just so appreciative. Thank you.
No, 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 thank you. And maybe we'll do it after your wedding, like a couple months after, so we can
Yes.
talk all things wife life. And because you'll be
Yes.
included in the club now, congratulations. And
Thank you.
if you're open to it, even talking about like the difference between, being a fiance and now being a wife,
Oh my
like
gosh.
what are the dynamics, like changing of dynamics now, because it's like official. So maybe we'll do it
Yes.
down the line, because that'd be so fun.
I love that.
Alrighty, ladies. Thank you so much for staying tuned, and I will see you in the next one.